Have you ever wondered how you would fare if left alone in the Sahara, one of the most unforgiving environments on Earth? Imagine the sizzling heat, the sprawling sand dunes, the relentless sun. Survival here is not a matter of chance, but a test of resilience, resourcefulness, and the right knowledge. So if you've ever fancied yourself a desert survivor or just love a good adventure, you're in the right place. Buckle up as we delve into an immersive guide on Sahara survival techniques. Water, the elixir of life, becomes your most valuable asset in the Sahara. When we talk about surviving in the wilderness, particularly in the arid expanse of the Sahara, water is not just a necessity, it's a lifeline. Every cell, every organ, every system in our bodies requires water to function. Our bodies are, after all, almost 2/3 water. In survival scenarios, experts suggest that humans can last up to 3 weeks without food, but without water, that time frame shrinks to just 3 to 5 days. The Sahara, with its scorching sun and dry winds, can reduce this even further. Dehydration sets in quickly, leading to a decline in physical and cognitive abilities. This could mean the difference between making it out alive or succumbing to the harsh desert. But where does one find water in a desert like the Sahara? It may seem impossible, but nature has its ways. Early morning dew, for instance, can be collected from the underside of plant leaves or from condensation traps. Underground water sources can sometimes be found by following animal trails or by observing the vegetation. However, water from these sources should never be consumed without purification. Purifying water is essential to remove any harmful bacteria or parasites. Boiling is the most reliable method if you have the means. If not, solar stills or water purification tablets could be used. Remember, survival is not just about enduring the elements, but also warding off potential illnesses. Dehydration is a silent, yet deadly foe. It starts with a dry mouth and excessive thirst, escalating to dizziness, rapid heartbeat, and eventually delirium and unconsciousness. So it's imperative to drink plenty of water, but also to conserve it. Sip, don't gulp. Avoid unnecessary physical exertion. Stay in the shade during the day to prevent excessive sweating. Every drop counts. Remember, water is your lifeline in the Sahara. Conserve it wisely. The Sahara's extreme temperatures demand immediate shelter. But how do you build one? Now that's a question that could save your life if you ever find yourself stranded in this vast desert. To begin with, finding a suitable location for your shelter is vital. You need a spot that offers some respite from the relentless sun during the day and protection against the freezing cold at night. Look for natural formations like rock outcrops or sand dunes. They can provide a starting point for your structure and some much-needed shade. Next, gather materials. The Sahara might seem barren, but it's not entirely devoid of resources. Dry desert plants, for instance, are excellent for building a shelter. Their roots can be used to secure your structure, while the branches can form the framework. Now let's talk about construction. Your shelter should be as low to the ground as possible to maximize insulation. Start by digging a shallow trench in the sand, then lay your plant branches across it to create a roof. Cover this with sand to provide insulation and reflect the sun's heat. Remember, in the Sahara, the sun is your biggest enemy during the day, but the cold is an equally formidable adversary at night. So, during the day, cover your shelter with light-colored materials, if available, to reflect the sun's rays. At night, use dark-colored materials to absorb and retain heat. But here's a pro tip. If you have a survival blanket, use it. This lightweight, compact tool reflects body heat back towards you, providing essential warmth when the sun sets and temperatures plummet. Even with a shelter, it's crucial to rest during the hottest part of the day and only venture out when the sun is low. This strategy conserves energy and reduces the risk of heat exhaustion. All in all, building a shelter in the Sahara is no easy feat, but it's entirely doable with the right knowledge and a bit of ingenuity. Remember, the desert is as dangerous as it is beautiful, and a well-built shelter can mean the difference between life and death in the Sahara. Lost in the Sahara, your next step is to navigate your way to safety. Now, let's delve into some basic techniques that could be your lifeline in this vast desert. Firstly, let's look to the heavens, our ancestors' original GPS. During the day, the sun is our guide. Rising in the east and setting in the west, it provides a reliable direction. Here's a quick trick. Point the hour hand of an analog watch at the sun. Midway between the hour hand and 12 o'clock, you'll find south. At night, the North Star, also known as Polaris, is your celestial compass. Find the Big Dipper constellation, known as the Plough in the UK. Draw an imaginary line from the 2 stars that form the outer edge of the Dipper. This line will point directly to Polaris, which is almost due north. Now, knowing your direction is one thing, but when to travel is another. The Sahara is not a place to underestimate. With daytime temperatures soaring above 100 degrees Fahrenheit, heat exhaustion is a real threat. So, when is the best time to travel? The answer is simple: during the cooler parts of the day. Start your journey just before dawn, when the desert is at its coolest, and rest during the peak of the day in whatever shade you can find. Resume your journey in the late afternoon and into the twilight hours. Remember, conserve your energy and stay hydrated. Cautiously avoid sand dunes if possible. They are energy draining to climb and can shift unpredictably. Stick to flat terrain as much as possible. Navigation is more than just knowing where you're going. It's about understanding the environment you're in and making smart decisions to preserve your energy and health. With these techniques in your survival toolkit, you'll be better equipped to face the Sahara. Remember, the desert is a formidable foe, but with knowledge and preparation, you can turn the odds in your favor. Navigating correctly can lead you out of the Sahara and toward survival. Food might not be a priority in the initial days, but eventually it becomes vital. As the sun blazes overhead, you might find yourself wondering where your next meal will come from in the Sahara. The desert, while harsh, is not devoid of life and potential food sources. Insects such as beetles and locusts are abundant in the Sahara. They are rich in protein and are often eaten by desert-dwelling communities. But remember, not all insects are safe to eat. Some may be poisonous or carry diseases. Therefore, it's recommended to cook them whenever possible to kill bacteria. Reptiles like lizards and snakes are another potential food source. However, catching them requires skill and caution. Many species found in the Sahara are venomous, so if you're not sure or not experienced, it's best to avoid them. Plants, though sparse, can also provide sustenance. The desert date, for example, isn't just a source of food, but also water. But be careful, as not all plants in the Sahara are safe to consume. Some are poisonous, while others can cause irritation or allergic reactions. Now let's talk about cooking. The Sahara's intense heat can be used to your advantage. By using a simple solar cooker, you can harness the sun's energy to cook your food. This helps to kill any harmful bacteria and makes the food more palatable. But what about the dangers of local wildlife? While it's true that the Sahara is home to some potentially dangerous animals, such as scorpions and venomous snakes, they are more likely to avoid you than to cause trouble. However, it's still important to stay alert and cautious. Always check your shoes and sleeping area for any unwelcome guests. Finally, remember that food is energy. It fuels your body and keeps you moving. So, while finding food in the Sahara might be a challenge, it's a challenge that you need to meet to survive. Food is scarce in the Sahara, but with careful planning, you can find sustenance. Surviving in the Sahara is no small feat. We've covered crucial survival techniques. Staying hydrated is paramount, and finding or creating shelter can mean the difference between life and death. Navigating the vast, ever-changing landscape requires skill and determination, and securing food, while a challenge, is essential for energy and endurance. Each of these elements intertwines to create the fabric of survival in this unforgiving environment. Remember these strategies, and you'll increase your chances of surviving the Sahara's harsh conditions